Hello, namaste to my viewers and everybody out there who just by chance joined us. I'm here today with Anish. Those of us, those of you who are on my channel more often, they know Anish already. We just spoke about another movie, Veer Savarkar. If you haven't seen that, then check that out as well. And he is a historian buff and he knows a lot about mythology, he knows a lot about history, and I thought he's the right person to talk about the movie Kalki 2898 AD. So I watched this movie in installments. I didn't watch it in the cinema. I think I missed out on it. Did you see it in the cinema?
Oh yes, I did. When it released, just 2 days after it got released. Yeah.
Yeah, but you're not in. Did you see it here in Bharat or did you see it abroad?
Oh no, I fortunately got to see it in Bharat. Yeah.
Okay, that's great because for Anish it's morning. For me it's evening because he is not in the country. He's out. He's studying abroad. But still you got to see it. So what was was the cinema full? Was it like an excited atmosphere? What was the feeling when you went to see the movie? You were excited, I know about it, that you were very excited to see it.
Oh right, yeah. There was a lot of craze. The hall was completely full. The bookings were completely full. It was really hard to get the ticket, and I saw that people were quite excited for the movie because there was a lot of buzz around it, and it's one of those movies which talks about the dharmic essence, and then we have some opening scene with a Bhagavad Gita shlok. So everybody were really excited about it, and plus it combines sort of with the sci-fi. So yeah, it was.
It
What
had
did
a
you
lot of
think?
hype. It had a tremendous amount of hype. It had a lot of buzz, and it was a buzz that transcended the language boundaries because this is in itself a Telugu movie, right? So this is a kind of movie that has like a big following in those areas in South, but that it was such a big hype all over India shows that these kinds of movies might be what we need in the future. Don't you think? One second. I forgot to turn my fan off.
Right.
I just realized that tuck, tuck, tuck noise you might be hearing. Sorry to the audience. That's my fan because it is still hot. We are in November officially, and I'm still needing a fan in Noida. It's unbelievable. It's still very hot in the daytime. So this is a movie that transcended boundaries, and it might be a. Do you think this movie might be like an idea what we get to see in the future? Because they're also planning to give us a part 2 and a part 3, or maybe make a whole universe.
Right. Yeah. So the movie ends in a very interesting note that the main character being played by Prabhas is probably, or what we can actually understand is the incarnation of Kern himself, and the movie is going to come back. There's going to be a part two to it, and then they show Yaksin, who's the main villain to the in the movie. He has sort of like upgraded and evolved after getting the code X sort of thing which he wanted from the beginning. So it's quite evident that the directors and the producers are thinking about getting a part two. Definitely, yeah.
Deb, it ends on a cliffhanger. So I watched it in installments. I watched it on OTT with the subtitles because there's a lot to digest. It's a lot to trying to understand, and I just try to justify things that I didn't understand. That some of it is, of course, the director's discretion. It's a director's fantasy as well. So, how did you find the weaving between the mythology parts and the science fiction part? Because I was completely drawn in until we suddenly ended up in this post-apocalyptic world with the complex and with the fighting sequence. So after the first fighting sequence, I needed a break because it completely, at that moment, it shattered my perception of what I wanted to actually see. I was expecting more of the mythology. I was expecting more of these kinds of stories. So it took me a while And I have to say the second part of the movie is a redemption. I really had to, I listened to a couple of other people's reviews, and you have to, like, when you watch it, just like, just go on and just watch the whole thing, because towards the half, and then you start getting drawn and you start understanding the characters. But the first fighting sequence with the comic elements and Prabhas, this is an unexpected side of him.
Definitely. I mean, I think I wouldn't call it mythology. Probably I'll call it itihas, because we always classify Mahabharat and Ramayana under the title of itihas, which has happened. So Hindus and the Indians in general believe that Ramayana and Mahabharat is a part of our history. Um, yeah, I think when between the itihas, the stories which they have taken from the Mahabharat with the sci-fi has been sort of experiment in this movie, and people have expressed their disappointment, including me, about the current angle and the storyline over there, which comes because now anybody who has studied the authentic Mahabharat, and it's something very core to Hindus, and uh, this is something which we would not like to, uh, we wouldn't want to play with our itihas. We wouldn't want it to get twisted. So
Do you
there
think
is,
it has been distorted? Do you think it has been distorted in this? They've taken too many liberties?
oh yeah, I think one of the major distortion in this movie was when it comes to the character of Kern itself. They have glorified Kern in it. Although this has been sort of a phenomenon which we can see even in the TV serials, which are made on Mahabharat and Mahabharat, of course, in this case. So, because anybody who has read the authentic Bori critical edition of Mahabharat, or even the modern writers like Naveen Kanata are pushing it very hard, trying to correct the distortions about the character called Kern himself. So Kern is supposed to be that person in Mahabharat who is sort of like the trunk of Adharm, and that
Okay.
Adharm is called Duryodhan. So Duryodhan, if Duryodhan has to be compared with a tree, so the trunk is the kern, or the kern is the trunk, and this is what exactly what Ved Vyasji writes in Mahabharata. And eventually, we saw, due to certain modern political uh, patterns which have been going on, like which has been repeating since the independence in India, um, due to the caste theories and the push and the pull which happens between the generals and the SC/ST category. Now, this is very controversial, but we have seen that Kern's character was distorted in the mainstream to suit the current political narrative and cater it to certain people in order to appease, or in order to probably fit a certain theory that the Indian society has been in such a way. And now movies such as Kalki, what it does is that it is solidifying the expression of the person who is responsible for being complete evil in our epic Mahabharata, and giving a twist that he is the real hero, and by very subtly sort of trying to pull down the strong character of Arjun himself, is deeply problematic.
Okay. Okay.
Yeah,
So, so this is what you're saying. What happened in this movie?
right. Yeah, so there's a whole scene where they're showing Kern and Arjun fighting, and probably what happens is that when Arjun shoots an arrow, Kern's chariot goes really back. While when Kern shoots an arrow, Arjun's chariot goes
2 feet.
2 feet. Yeah.
Yeah.
Now, in this, Sri Krishna is sort of like scolding him that, Arjun was sort of like enjoying, he was like celebrating that, see, I'm still the strongest. So Sri Krishna is scolding him, saying that you are a fool. I mean, you have the dhwaj of Lord Hanuman himself. There's Lord Hanuman sitting right on top of your chariot. I'm with you, me, Parth. So Sri Krishna is himself the god. So he's saying, and what Karn has achieved is way more phenomenal. Now, this is not something which is out of Mahabharata. This is something which he has definitely said within the Mahabharata. But we see that it's very common between a charioteer or the Sarthi and the warrior to have those internal criticisms going on. So, a warrior doesn't become too overconfident. But the way the movie gives a twist to it, that, like they show Arjun smirking in a very villainous way, or they'll show Kern coming in a very heroic way. So these things sort of sets a very wrong impression in front of the audience, and
Do
especially
you
younger children.
do you think it has to do with what kind of actors portraying which character? Do you think that sometimes in the industry, that when you want a certain actor for a certain character, that actor shapes the character in some way because it's a star, it's a superstar, and that's why it has to be this glorified and wonderful and over the top character that is enhancing the actor's image.
Possibly, yes. I mean, given the fact that Prabhas is the central character figure to the movie, um, uh, it's very natural that Prabhas is going to depict Kern in a certain way. But the way Arjun was portrayed, because Arjun has been very central to our dharmic discourse always, even in Bhagavad Gita. We are getting access to Bhagavad Gita, which is like the most important Hindu granth, um, because Arjun is asking questions, and it uh, deeply matters for a country where the majority have the majority look at Arjun in a certain way. We look at him also in a very devotional way, not just Sri Krishna. And then that villainous smirk which he gives, or the the arrogance in his tone is deeply problematic,
Absolutely.
because what we get to know from the real Mahabharata is that Arjuna is supposed to be a very humble and down to earth person.
Okay, so the Raman Saga Mahabharat was the right way to portray it. If for example on DD, that's why it was such a re-hit when it was shown in COVID times, and people were starting to watch this a lot.
I think the TV serial Mahabharat have also done a significant damage in showing in depicting Kern. They have not been completely authentic. But
Okay.
one credit where I mean, let me give the credit where it's due, because they have done a great job still in depicting Arjun always. I mean, they have never distorted the character of Arjun till now in any of the TV serials. So even though while Kern has been shown in a very glorious way, Arjun's character has never been brought down in TV serials Mahabharata. But what we find is in this movie is that it has gone a step ahead in showing and portraying Arjun in a certain way.
Do you think it has to do that they were also thinking of modernizing it and like humanizing the gods to make it accessible to a new audience? Do you think it has gone into that direction, or do you outright think no, this was just like a complete misstep by thinking, oh, we can just do what we want to, kind of a thing?
I think yes. So one of the recent trends has been, and this is not just something which is in India or particular to Hindus or Bharat. It's something more global, that we tend to get drawn towards the gray characters more than the white characters.
Yes,
Because
that's a good
we,
point.
yeah,
Oh,
yeah, because we as humans are flawed. So when we see a flawed character who has also some light to him or her, we get drawn to them. Like in the let me give few examples. Like anybody who has watched Harry Potter, it's Severus Snape. People really love Severus Snape because he's flawed and at the same time he's heroic. People
Yeah.
love certain characters in every major series who are supposed to be a bit grayish.
No, I was
Yeah,
outright evil. Helena was outright evil. The character was very evil, but still people were, the moment the channel wanted to like make it more even darker and we're showing flashbacks that showed her in a human light, people started to like be empathic towards her. And so the whole making her completely evil didn't even work. And the fan following that is following me to this day, where people still know me for this character. So I can completely understand. But Queen Helena, that character is completely fictitious. Here we are touching itihas. Here we're touching topics that, do we, in the name of modernization, have to touch everything? Do we have to be able to like play around with every topic, with everything in life? I find this a little yeah, problematic, I think. Like you
I
said,
think
it shows the new generation a completely distorted version.
I think trying to pull out a gray character is not the issue over here. It's just that we need to identify who the real gray character in any epic or the story is. Thinking that Kern is the gray character is a misjudgment based upon the misinformation which is being fed to the people. There have been certain great characters who are worthy of being looked up to even in Mahabharat. I always say that if in case you need to idolize or if in case you're looking for that certain great characters, Mata Satyavati in Mahabharat, she's the one who's the root of all the problem which begins in the dynasty from the beginning. She's supposed to be the grandmother of Dhritarashtra and Pandu and the great grandmother of Pandavas and the Kauravas in Mahabharata. She has made really bad choices in her life. She has been completely selfish and very materialistic and sort of greedy for the throne, at least for her son. And she gets back that karma on her. And sense gets knocked to her and she starts course correcting. So, but in the case of Kern, I feel it's a bit more uh, murkier because Kern never really tried to course correct. Kern never tried to get into a right path. In fact, what he's doing is he's walking into a dense forest despite knowing that he's walking into a dense forest and he's walking into darkness. Because Kuntima has revealed herself to Kern that I'm your true mother. So why don't you join your brothers in the war? And he chose to not do that. But I feel that what makes it worse is that there's a misunderstanding about the whole a word called, I mean, the whole caste system, which existed probably back in Vedic times. And people need to be educated upon what jati is, what varn is, how the varn and jati was playing at that time, what sooth as a community means. So, because there is misinformation and propaganda around it, people will automatically jump into wrong conclusions.
Mm, mm. So just to come to that for a second, to the other characters as well. Na? Amitabh Bachchan played Ashwatam, and how did you find that depiction?
Oh, that was great. I mean, again, Ashwathama is not a very positive character in Mahabharata. Nevertheless, we always revere Ashwathama. In fact, it's believed that Ashwathama is supposed to be sort of a part incarnation of Lord Shiva himself,
Mm.
and he was cursed to live a long life, which has been also shown in the movie. And eventually, Ashwathama is also supposed to be the Vyas, the next Vyas of the next Mahayug after this Kali Yug ends. So I don't really see any issues with the character played by Amitabh Bachchan. It's probably brilliant. I mean, the storyline is to the point, at least when it comes to Ashwatthama, and uh, I personally liked the depiction of Ashwatthama in the movie. In fact, he's the best. He's the best in the whole game, in the whole drama which is going on. Yeah.
I felt the same way. I think that he was really like, as usual, shining and kind of saving the day. Besides these extreme fight sequences that were there, what is like
Right.
understood has to be there. But some of them I felt like Abhi bas ho gaya is getting. I felt like the emotional scenes that were trying to pull us in, the scenes with Deepika Padukone, her character, the scenes with that really sweet girl who is saving her, like a lot of stories they were going back and forth and didn't like I'm hoping there will be a culmination in the second part for some of the characters, because I felt like some of them were short, like they were just cut off and disappeared without a conclusion, or where you're just assuming okay they died or whatever. So I felt like from a female point of view that I would have benefited. I mean, it would have made the movie maybe even longer, but if they would have like changed some of the fighting sequences into a little bit more of a, you know, a little bit more of the emotional connect, like when they're praying at the tree, that was beautiful, you know, when she's having the revelation that, oh God, I'm pregnant, when she's having the interaction with the other girl in the complex. Yeah. So these scenes where I felt they were giving a nice sur, they were like pulling me into the story, because not everything can only be a fighting sequence.
Right.
So do you
Yeah.
also feel like there was a little like it could have been more of that, or is this a female female wish?
Yeah, I think the Shambhala scene was quite beautiful, and they have also shown Tibetans and Bhutani people uh, when they are depicting the Shambhala scene, which sort of suggests that Shambhala is supposed to be in the north, it's somewhere in the Himalayas, and it reflects that the writer knows certain things about the Hindu cosmology and the Hindu universalism, and it can be reflected through his work. Now, coming to uh, Deepika Padukone's scene herself, where she's supposed to give birth to Kalki avatar, or the god Kalki, who is going to be the 10th avatar of Lord Vishnu. She's going through a lot of problems because, firstly, she's a single mother, and it looks like it has been her character has been partly inspired by Mary, the mother of Jesus Christ, because generally in
Oh, okay.
yeah,
Okay. Okay.
because
Okay.
generally at least till now in our um, grunts, we have never had a story that a son or any child was born with the, just like that. I mean, there is always a biological father and a biological mother, even in the case of avatars. But in this case, it looked like they were loosely inspired by the Christian idols, which is great, which is amazing.
So that's, but that's is all the women who are in this, right? It is not only Deepika's character, is everybody who was getting pregnant there, they were getting pregnant. How, we don't even know. That brings me to Kamal Hassan's character. That of course I didn't recognize him. I was like, "What's going on? What's happening? Who's this? Isn't Kamal Hassan supposed to be in this?" And then my Arjun was saying, "Yeah, that's him." And I was like, "Are you sure?" And I actually had to go. I couldn't believe it. Yeah, there was that was outright spooky. But I felt like there were very impactful scenes, but I kind of missed seeing him 2 or 3 times towards the end as well,
Right.
when it was only Manas taking over everything, and I was missing this character to be shown one more time at least, as a build-up, instead of having only these fight sequences. I was just missing that. That was one point, and then we have to talk about Disha Patni, of course.
Right.
So how did you, Kamal Hassan is supposed to be who? This is a completely fictitious character, or do you think this was inspired by something else from the Mahabharat or from the Puranas or something?
No, I think it's completely fictional. Um,
Okay.
Although I like it, I'm always pro artistic liberty, and it looks like they tried to give, they so Kamal Hassan, where he's living, is sort of like a pyramid, and it's sort of giving. I don't want to use that word in your show, so it doesn't get cancelled. But it's something. It's sort of like a hot topic, which has been central point of all the conspiracy theories, especially in the Hollywood, and they have used certain symbologies. I personally
I'm not even
like.
aware of any of this. You are talking about stuff that is over my head. I hope the audience gets it because I'm not even understanding what you're talking about right now. So some symbology. I thought he just looked like that, like a vampire.
Oh, yeah. So the symbology I'm talking about is supposed to be more closer to the Freemasonry sort of thing. So uh, the inverted triangle, and
Oh, okay. I didn't even,
yeah.
I just tried to remember what that movie was when Vayona Raida was a child artist and her first movie, what was that vampire movie? What was the title name? 1 second. Okay, of course I can't find it. Bram Stoker's Dracula.
Okay.
There is a scene in Dracula where the guy is losing his looks and he starts looking exactly like Kamal Hassan's character in this movie. What also brings me to a couple of things where, especially the city, Kashi, under the complex, the whole
Right.
thing, a lot of things reminded me of like Total Recall, Arnold Schwarzenegger.
Hmm.
So there were a couple of things that I felt like the lightsabers, some of it was like Star Trek, Star Wars. One guy was looking like he's from yeah. So I think a lot of people were having these like, okay, that's from this movie and that's from that movie. And that's just, what I don't even mind it. It's just like yeah, there's this whole discussion about was the humor necessary. I mean, I'm of the school of that. I always like to have in every story. I think even in a sad story, if you can combine it with a little bit of humor, you have a sad story, you put a little bit of humor in it, it makes it more human. This kind of a story. I had with Akio so many discussions about this, and he always believed that humor can also work in these kinds of scenes, and people were not really ready to accept Prabhas in this kind of a comic thing. I don't know. I have not seen so many movies with him, but.
Yeah. So I think people have an impression of Prabhas, that Prabhas has to be sort of like the Bahubali figure always, because we know him from Bahubali and we love him in that movie. He's a great actor, and probably, the kind of uh, depiction or the kind of image we make in our own mind related to an actor can be quite interesting, and then people at times expect that same thing in every movie, which is definitely not possible. I think I like the idea of always introducing some of the humor in it, as
I
long as
liked
it's
it as
not.
well. I liked it as well. It's just like, again, you're seeing that it is showing him in a more positive light and a little bit more, yeah, the way he's not actually supposed to be, right?
Right, right. Although his
Okay, just
character is is quite uncertain till the end when they reveal that he is supposed to be the incarnation of Kern
Yeah,
himself.
but he flipped back. He flipped back. He took the girl and ran. So I was confused. Okay, I was like, okay, this is now the big moment and the big revelation, and the leaf is flying through the air and going on the. So suddenly he's turning into the brother of Ashwatthama, if I understood it right, and that again he's like flipping back. I couldn't follow that, but it was like the build up to the second part. So I think I have to watch the second part as well to understand what is going on.
Right.
So just very shortly, Disha Patni, why? Why was this there? Because there was
I
no
think
conclusion to it, unless they bring her back in the second part. Otherwise, I do not understand why the girl was there, except to look sexy.
I think the only thing which I could understand was that they introduced her for Prabhas to enter into the complex of Supreme Yaskin, and that's the only function of the character I see till now. I don't know what she's going to do in the second part, if even if she's going to be there or not. So
Hmm.
yeah, we've got to
Yeah,
watch out for that. Yeah.
yeah. So the special effects.
Oh, I think one of the best things about this movie has been special effects. I mean, the greatest decision taken by the director was that he did not reveal the face of Lord Krishna in the beginning. So there's an opening scene uh, of the war, and Ashwatthama has been injured. Lord Krishna comes and he has pulled back the Brahmastra. No, he's not pulled back the Brahmastra. It's like he goes and revives uh, the last heir of the Pandavas, the Kuru Vansh. And Ashwatthama has done something really terrible. And Lord Krishna comes in a very aggressive and in a very fearful form, right? And he appears right in front of Ashwatthama and curses him for the sin he has committed by
Mm.
unleashing the Brahmastra itself. Um, I really like the special effects used in that scene, particularly because um, it is not revealing the face of Sri Krishna, but the shadow seems to be very appropriate. Although, again, it can be debated or discussed whether Sri Krishna is going to dress up the way he was dressed up during the battle, because that's a common sense. If you're in a battle, you're going to wear armor or something like that. You're
Very
not going
different
to.
outfit. Yeah, yeah.
You're,
There were a
you're not
couple
going
of
to be.
things that I had like. There's this one scene also where, like, jumping to something else. Amitabh Bachchan's character is holding somebody when he enters that secret, the hiding place. I don't remember the name. It starts with an S, where everybody is like hiding from the complex and from the bad people. The undercover
Right.
world, so to speak. And the guy kept on saying, "Sir, sir." And I was like, where's the sir coming from? There were a couple of things that I could not, or when the girl is in the back of the um, escape vehicle, the one who dies later, who gives up her life, who sacrifices herself for Deepika Padukone's character. And she's like, she's coming out of this fake wall, and her weapon comes and she says, boom. I'm like, okay, these things, they were like, what's going on? The English use in Hindi movies or even South Indian movies sometimes is a little startling, the way they're using it, especially in a movie like this. You're not expecting it at all. You're not
Right.
expecting to hear the word sir. You're not expecting. Then there were a couple of things, like there's this one sequence where they're ending up, I don't know if it's a dream sequence or it's real, when Disha Patni and he's entering this palace kind of a thing, and then there's a champagne bottle suddenly, and some Greek statues are standing around, and some dancing is happening, and I'm like, how does he even know what a bottle of champagne is, or how to, there are so many things where I'm just like, where are they now? This looks like 2024, 2023. So some of the things were a little bit like, okay, many things pull me in and it's logical and it makes me understand the world that they're inhabiting. and sometimes this was just completely throwing me out.
Right.
How did you like that scene? How did you like that scene? Entertaining to
Um,
tha.
yeah, it was quite entertaining. At least it was entertaining. Yeah. No, I think I have no strong opinions on that scene at all. Uh, yeah.
No, it was just one of these scenes. I was like, is this a dream sequence now? Are they really in that place? Because one time they're on the beach, suddenly they're wearing different outfits. She's even pulling down her skirt, going into like, we're going clubbing. You see,
Right. Right.
I had a little issue. That scene was not in the whole in the scheme of things, except for him being arrested in the end. And this thing, I don't. Yeah, okay. Every movie has to have some dance sequences or whatever. Maybe it went in that direction, but it was not necessary. I don't think this was necessary at all. It didn't do anything to elevate the story. He could have been captured anywhere in between. And I'm still 50-50 if I like this or not. I still can't tell you. It definitely had an impact on me, but I can't tell you if I like this, what I saw or not.
Right. Right. Yeah. It was. I feel like it was quite. It can be said it was quite unnecessary. I mean, you had to like introduce the entire dance scene just to get him arrested and thrown out of the complex. And um, I would just say that it was probably an artistic
Because you
liberty.
learn, you learn this in script writing. You learn this when that you are building. You have to, even if it's a fantasy, you have to come up with the rules of that fantasy world, and you have to make it in such a way that the audience will follow you into this world where things make sense that otherwise don't make sense. But you have to make it understood. You have to like lead the audience into this other world. And that scene was just like kicking me out. I had the feeling that the story pulled me in, pushed me out, pulled me in, pushed me out. So I constantly like, that's why I'm so confused if I liked it or not, because there are scenes that are still playing in my mind that are very like, they were impactful, beautifully shot. Special effects, except for that one sequence where they're on the horseback standing in that was looking bad. But otherwise, yeah, hats off, really nice. I didn't have any issues with the special effects that some people had.
Right.
Music, very well used.
Hmm.
So I think I saw it on a small screen, you saw it on a big screen. And I think we both agree, let's see how part 2 is whenever that will come.
Oh yes, yeah. I think film scoring was brilliant.
So it will be another, I don't know, this was 600 crores. Let's see how much money that next one will cost.
Right.
Anything you want to add at the end of our chat?
Um. Yeah, I think I just hope that they be a bit more considerate about the grunt and the authenticity of the grunt, and because these stories are supposed to be a moral compass for the people, so one has to be extremely careful with the characters one endorses or the characters you pull down, because that has a significant impact upon the society.
Yeah. Okay. And on this note, I just want to tell everybody, and I want to tell the viewers, these are just our personal opinions. This is just a
That's right.
conversation we're having on it. It's like two friends meeting up and discussing a movie that they have seen. This is in no way meant to like hurt or upset or do anything like that. It's just our opinions that we're having and discussing here on this platform. And I hope you enjoyed it. Please also check out the other movie that we did together. And we have a very nice one completely on his topic, because architecture, that's his actual bread, butter, and everything. Yeah, right, Anish. So thanks for giving me your time, and we will do this again, and we will do this before part 2 comes. Thanks for watching,
Definitely. Thank you.
and namaskar.
Namaskar.